right back into it. My intro got erased, so I'm going to record one now. Just had the scoring round. A lot happened last time. I feel better now. I'm not as sick. I stopped expelling things and I had plenty of fluids. I think then last time when I did this take, I started talking about I started talking about how I think in my last video I talked a bit. So I'm talking about my last video where I was talking about how when I was putting together this Real People Multi-Game Solitaire Mega Tournament, I didn't have a lot of experience, and I still don't have a ton of experience, but I didn't have a lot of experience in what games created the sort of interactions I find interesting in a multi-game solitaire environment. And so I just kind of stuck in games that I had access to or that looked interesting to me for different reasons. Khronos obviously was one of those. The whole time thing. I think I was aware that it was maybe not the time game I wanted, but the fact that it was time travel for profit to kind of fit with some other games that I had. My collection has since grown, and I think I'm going to do some more toying with the tournament. But anyway, what I wanted to say is this abstract games I think can allow some expression of personality, which is one thing I think I said they didn't so much. And I'm noticing that through this playthrough that it's more subtle, I think, in some ways. It may be more obvious in others because it is more abstracted and more stripped away. But there's not, I don't know, and there is interpersonal dynamism, but it's not as it's not as flush as other games might facilitate. But anyway, there is that, and I am enjoying this playing, so that's something, and it's going pretty quick, which is nice. This should be the second video. I don't know if I talked about this already in what you've seen, but I think I talked about. Oh, that's another thing. Yeah, I did talk about this in my intro before, the one that got erased. If you're interested, I could tell you how it got erased. I don't know. I think I will after I tell you about the other thing that I was going to tell about in my other intro. What was it? Sorry, my son's distracting me. He keeps calling about how he's done with something. Anyway, I don't want to stop it and start over. I gotta keep talking. What was the other thing I was talking about? I remember. I'll talk about how it got erased. So before I start videos, first thing I do is I delete what was on there before, and so I push delete and I push all. And I was going to delete a scene to make it easier when I put things all together, because I seriously messed something up and I didn't want you to have to sit through it. And I started thinking about something else, so I clicked delete and all. I went on autopilot, and so then it started deleting everything I'd done. And I was already, at this point, done with turn 5, I think. Yeah, maybe 5 or 6. It's really hard to go back from that. You know, it's kind of a one-way trip, which is partly what's fun about this format. And so I canceled it. I realized what I was doing, and I canceled it. And luckily, it saved pretty much everything except for that intro. So, and what was the other thing I talked about in the intro? I don't remember. Maybe I'll remember by the conclusion, which is pretty soon, because we're now on turn 7. Final turn of the game. Turn of scoring. It's pretty exciting. Well, I think we should go over what everyone's score is, don't you? Quick review of the standings, and I checked to see whether the money is public in this game. The rulebook says that you can put the money in front of the people face up or face down. I don't know what that's supposed to mean exactly, because they're printed on both sides. So I don't know. I think maybe the intention is that it was supposed to be hid. You could hide it if you wanted. Maybe they meant that face down. Maybe they did. I think sometimes these games, they write the rules without the actual components. They're using different components, and then, you know, the company or whatever takes over and makes the components different than what they expected. But I don't know what that would even do if they weren't back printed, right? Because you could still see how many of each denomination they had, unless they were all supposed to be the same size. I don't know what the intention was with that, but I'm going to make it public so they know how well each other are doing. Because then you can have a little bit more interaction in a sort of way. You know, so we have our two leaders here, which is kind of the main thing I wanted to get across to you. Oblio and Desi, they're tied for first with 19, if I remember correctly. And then Nun is next, and Nun was the one who was building nothing. So she got all her money just from the Age of Reason. Then we have TD, who just took his turn. I'll tell you what he did. Then DJ Double J, who's very dear to my heart. So TD had a pretty strong move. He moved his gentleman from the Age of Might to the Age of Faith, and then planted the medium-level church building. We'll call it a cathedral for now. And then also place this little civil building here. So what that did was that gave him, you know, that put him in charge of this domain, right? But it also linked to this domain, which took that domain's control from Desi. So he did a kind of a strong job taking from Desi. Now he could have latched onto this domain instead and taken 4 points from Desi. I'm not sure exactly why he didn't do that. I think he wants to work in confluence with his Age of Might in the back, and so just be able to focus on building both of these up. He's not a super confrontational person. The fact that he took this is kind of a blunt move for him anyway. But still not a bad move. Got some coins out of it because he constructed in the Age of Faith, which is worth more. And there we go. Just came up with a great new mechanism for the game. It's called a time quake. The box, when I went to reshuffle the deck, the box fell and the whole thing shook, and a number of the time travelers fell down. So how this is going to work is they have to pay 1 coin for each person they want to set back up. They don't have to do that till their turn, right? Because there could be another time quake. Who knows when time will shake and cause people to fall. So you can see, since the box is closer to the future, it's more likely if you're in the future you're going to be affected by the quake, but really it rippled all the way backwards. So now it's Desi's turn. He has 2 people who got knocked down in the time quake. He's going to have to pay 2 coins, 1 for each of them. That's medical bills. And you know, if I want to get involved, I could have the medical bills be higher in the past, and then as medical technology gets better, it would get cheaper. But that's not how medical bills work. Medical bills get more expensive as medicine gets more able to treat people, right? That's what we're learning. But this is an abstract game, and so it doesn't need to tie to reality. So since it's more likely you're going to fall here, it's going to be cheaper here. So we'll go 3, 2, 1, right? So Desi's going to have to pay 3 to bring this guy back up. Ooh, that is really rough. And this is the joy of playing by yourself, people. You can just do this if you want to. And I feel like Bob Ross and saying tiny little trees. All right, 2 there. So he, that time quake cost him 5. That's huge. That could be a game changer right there. All right, and before I do Desi's turn, I just wanted to point out this interesting situation he's in, because I was just thinking about it. I don't know that I talked about it last video. Okay, so his big scorer, his big domain is right here in the Age of Might, right? So it's this castle here. However, if you notice, there is someone else who has the big religious building there. So anything he plays on here that ripples forward is also going to be able to score for who was his main competitor. I guess after that time quake, I don't know. Oblio would score there. So if he wants to add on to his domain, he needs to go with smaller buildings, right? He needs to go with the tiny little hamlets rather than doing a big city. We'll see what he decides to do with that. And Desi did link domains, but he linked to this domain, so he has dominion over that domain. His building is bigger. Did these little tiny hamlets. He also built a little hamlet here to link up to this painted on hamlet, so that was a move worth 2 points. Dangerous though, he's very weak in the Age of Faith, so to build on there without having a stronger building is a big risk. Someone could come in, slap down three pink cards, and take that domain for themselves. Something TD could have done that TD opted not to. No one else is in the Age of Faith right now, but someone could obviously travel there and play 3 pink cards and get a medium-sized church. Oblio was sitting on these 4 orange cards here, and he's doing something vicious. He traveled his... He fixed his gentleman, who was in the Age of Reason. Kind of scuzzy. I don't know. Kind of a mean-looking guy, right? Back to the Age of Might, and he built the very last fortresses in the game. There's a limit on these counters, and they're all used now. So, yeah. Anyway, he not only took over TD's domain in the past, but that rippled forward into the future, got rid of TD's church here. Only kinder upshot to it is it's going to potentially help out DJ Double J quite a bit, because she could turn this into a 6 scoring domain with very little other influence on there. Nun's turn. She's kind of in a bit of a conundrum. So one thing that happened to her was she lost a cube that was on here to the Timequake. So that's just totally gone. I think that's kind of the abstract balancer to having to pay less money for fixing your guys in the future. It's more likely they're going, not only is it more likely they're going to fall down, but it's more likely they're going to lose cubes, right? Plus, if you lose a control cube in the past, there's really no... The game's mechanisms don't make sense if they're taken off, right? Because, I don't know, then who's... I guess you could play so it's kind of like free-for-all then, if something's no longer controlled. So if Oblio were to lose this castle, someone else could come and take it. I don't know what they would... Maybe they would pay the cost of the castle, then they could control it. Okay, there we go. We got a mechanism. All right, so... But it's more likely the cubes will fall off there. So she's got that problem. She lost a cube. Makes matters worse, she doesn't have a blue card to replace it. Now, she could pay 2 coins and redraw her cards, which is something she's seriously considering right now, particularly because she has all her resources in the future. She has no buildings started back here. So if she has all pink and orange cards and she has nothing to renovate, she could renovate this for DJ Double J, but that would be a little more charitable than she's feeling right now. Going in the past, what could she do? I guess she could build a building back here in order to ripple it forward. That might be a good thing to do. But then what's she going to do with those 2 pink cards? I guess she could start some buildings in hopes of rippling them forward later. Maybe that would be a good move. Yeah, I think she might be sending both of her people back to the past. Alright, so she's got her buildings played. First building she's made in the game. It'll be interesting to see how this works. So the first half of the game she focused solely in the future. Now it seems like she might be having to focus more in the past. She's going to need to jump back to the future though to do renovations in order to keep her domain up. But yeah, she's going to be starting buildings right now. Now she's smart to work on this area because, one, if she can upgrade any of these buildings, it's going to ripple forward into a domain she still has pretty firmly, right? In fact, yeah. And 2, if she ripples forward, she's gonna be able to score here, and that will really help her to be able to score in 2 different places rather than just in the one age. All right, and DJ Double J did get that cube in there. The Timequake's effects were felt, and she started to renovate this large castle. That was quite the favor Oblio did for her. If she can hold on to that domain, that's going to make some big points. Then in the past, she only played 1 card. She put a little tiny church here, which is a good move. If she can develop that, she'll be a player in the Age of Faith. She lost her big Age of Might domain, and there's really no way I can see that she could get a domain here. So the Age of Might's no longer going to be a scoring opportunity for her. Scratch that. She could destroy one of these tall, smaller buildings if they remain smaller. That's kind of the balancer to... The reason you want to do small buildings sometimes is you don't want them to ripple forward and score for someone else. However, if you have small buildings there, someone can pay money and a card in order to destroy them. In a 5-player game, and in a game like this, though, you want to be working for your own gain primarily. That might be for her gain, but if she can get this to pay off, it's likely going to be better for her to to just score in the Age of Faith, especially if Oblio continues to develop this domain. He has 2 domains to choose from, though. He might not want to share. But I guess it's between sharing with her and sharing with Desi right now. We'll see. It's a bit of chronological weirdness. The board is different now. Chronological or chronological weirdness. The board is different now. I noticed some things that look like they should have been rippled forward, but they weren't. And I couldn't see any reason for it except that maybe I was kind of out of it last time and I didn't notice it this time. Due to my haste, I'm kind of on a time limit. But, so you might notice some things are different. TD, he moved a guy forward. He reinvigorated him at Faith era prices, some of the Age of Reason, and he's got a green cube here now. It's going to give him 2 points, not a whole lot, but there is a chance that there's going to be some linkage here. And he also put a little barnacle of a abbey or church, little tiny church there. I really should just get the names down because I feel like I waste a lot of time bumbling over the names for these things. Right there, and if he can make that bigger, that's going to grow. However, there's this opening for 2 more cubes there. Another opening here. Both of those, I think, were due to chronological weirdness. Alright, Desi has made his chain back here of 1 little hamlets all the way from this tower all the way up into TD's little domain there. So he's got all of these points are going to be his. However, it's this little chain. If any one of these links is broken, well, probably one back here, he's going to lose all those points. Then in the Age of Faith, he had a choice between bumping up his little little church here or his little church here. He sees what Nun is doing, and he doesn't really want to make the investment here because she can just ripple forward in time and blow up his church. So he went here where he thought it was safe, rippled that forward in time. If he had thought it out a little differently, I think he could have made a better move. But I think this is the play he would have done, so I stuck with it. If he had brought his guy forward in time, he could have made the link here and taken control of this domain and had a pretty strong domain in the Age of Faith. But then again, it could have been broken. So I don't know. Oblio was just very mean to Desi. He built a structure here which rippled forward, blew up Desi's medium-sized church. He also linked these 2 domains. Now what that does, that's actually, that hurts Desi and DJ Double J. DJ Double J can no longer bump up the size of this particular building because it's just too crammed in. And also by linking it, Desi is not going to get this point. Along with that separating, Oblio, and I forgot this, but I caught myself before I moved on to Nun's turn, had to decide on one of these 2 buildings to downsize. You can see which one he did. He chose to downsize TD over DJ Double J. Not too tough of a choice. Yeah, I mean, DJ Double J is not doing so hot. Anyway, the reason why is in the old domain, this was the largest building. Right, so you could have as many 2-sized buildings as you wanted, just you can only have one of the highest. So once it got separated, you could only have 1 2-sized building because that became the highest in the domain, so hence the downsizing. Sure enough, Nun was able to forgot to change the cubes there, was able to take this domain away from Desi. Desi has fallen hard this video. He was one of our top 2 players. After the Timequake, he lost a bunch of money off of that, and then he's lost a lot of his point scoring opportunities. So he is in some big trouble. He no longer has this big fat domain in the Age of Faith. His domain in the Age of Might has diminished. She also built just a superfluous building in order to have something to renovate in the future. Finally, DJ Double J. I say finally because I have to go, but I hope to come back to this. She finished her renovations in the future, went back, sent her guy back in time to help build this cathedral here. That ripples forward, so she's got this really kind of lame. I mean, there's 1 point for this huge domain here, right? But that's going to help her in the future if she can can build this up, she's in good shape so long as there's no more towns there. And we only have one turn left. A lot of great scoring opportunities. You know, these buildings here could be filled up. People haven't been drawing blue cards though, and there was enough for people to do that they decided not to pay the two coins in order to draw a new hand before their turn. We'll see what happens with Desi. I don't know, I'm doing a conclusion. This is going to just jump ahead real quick for you. Alright, TD has 14. He's going to be the first one to score, so we'll see if he can make the most of it. Way over here, this is our bottom player. DJ Double J has 9. None has 14, tied with TD. 15 here for Desi. He has fallen quite a bit, and Oblio still has a commanding lead. He has 14-16. Actually, not so commanding. It's tightened up a good deal. So we'll see what happens. I think, however, so the first time this happened, this was an accident. But I think for this last turn, I think there should be a programmed event. I think we should have a timequake. Here we go, timequake. It didn't do really anything at all. It just hurt TD. That's all it did. I think a natural timequake is more effective than an artificial timequake. Ooh, but it did knock off all these cubes. This one, let's see. Does that look like? Looks like more of it is. It looks like it's about. I think enough of it is on that it will stay on. That will help none. But all of these, I'm gonna call off. And that's really bad for her and bad for TD. And all the other cubes have. Oh, we're gonna let her keep this one. We're going to say if it's touching it, they managed to stay on. I think thematically what's happening here, and this thing, where's this thing supposed to be? Ah, that got moved somehow. Oh, because there's a timequake. Now does that building stay in the timequake or not? I don't think it does. I think that building's knocked off too. That kind of really messes up none. I like the symmetry of that. I think she lost out more than none, so none can lose that out. Yeah, very fun, very fun. Timequake. TD is in such a rough shape. I just want to consult with you about his prospects. Maybe just kind of let you know what they are. So, in the future age, he did a little bit of investment there, and now he's kind of paid the price for from a timequake. He has this spot. He's the only one invested there, but there's no building. So is there a way he can get a building there? That's one thing if he wants to score in the future. He has no scoring prospects in the Age of Might except for right here. That's worth 1 point. And I actually had... Yeah, he can't upgrade this. So it'd been nice if this was bigger, right? Because that would spin forward here and then to here, and then he could fix it up and get some points off of that. But that's not possible because it shares a domain with DJ Double J's piece. So Age of Might's probably not the place he wants to be. Now looking at the Age of Faith, he's got this domain down, but it has no points in it, right? It has 1 point. That's not enough. He could link them together and then get some more points there. But he already gets these 3 points. As long as no one takes that from him. Does he have anywhere else he can score here? I mean, already he's got 4. That's better than there. And I'm not seeing any. Because he can't add to any of these because that's 3. He could add to this one, depending on what cards he has. But here he only has 1 purple, an orange, and 2 blue. Right? But it looks like he's going to want to work here. And then the future... If he can get something to spin forward, it might be worth it to... Well, he needs 2 purple to spin forward there. He would need 2 orange too, and he doesn't have that. He has 2 blue. Alright, I'm going to think about this. Alright, so TD's turn ended up being kind of convoluted. He did a lot of stuff, though. Actually, I think he might not even be totally done. I think, yeah, he paid to move there. Okay, so here's everything he did. He took out the piece that was connecting this domain to that domain. That allowed him to play another card in order to make this guy bigger. Okay? So that allowed him to spin that forward and get a point there. That's not a huge deal, right? But that's, I think he mainly did it to get the coin, and I'm not really totally sure. But that's what he did. And then here, I don't think he really did anything here, except he moved his guy back here so that it was there for the scoring. And then in the future, I looked up a rule. If you tie with someone, you get to have the points as well. So he went in here, ended up tying with none there on his turn. So he's going to get these 6 points. The Timequake really helped him out and kind of hindered him in a lot of ways. He, out of everyone, I think has been kind of messed up with things that were against his, out of his control. You know, I think you know, some of the other failures were the player's fault, but his weren't entirely, I don't think. The Timequake was pretty huge there. So he's going to collect 6, 7 there. Oh, finally, the most interesting thing he did, he renovated this building for DJ Double J, which I thought was rather nice. She's been kind of, you know, she's been pretty down and out for most of the game, so that was nice of him. So we have 6, 7, and then he's also scoring in the religious, and he's going to get another 4 there. So not a ton of points. That's 11. 7 plus 4 is 11. All right, Desi's going to be a little more straightforward. All his cards ended up being blue. He's got a pack full of blue cards. Guy here, a guy there. No one in the future. Now, he's not going to really be able to score in the Age of Faith, so he's going to go ahead and leave there now. Pay a coin, jump ahead to the Age of Reason, see if he can't do something there, which shouldn't be too hard. The Timequakes have really cleared things out. So he can play a card right here, stick a cube in there, and he ties with everyone else, so he's going to be entitled to those 7 points. Now the question is, does he want to go anywhere else? Let's go back to the past a second. And we'll reserve that card there. So he's got two cards here that he can play. Now he could, ideally he'd want to link these back up, right? Because that's going to give him another 3 points, and if he linked further, that would be 6 points. However, is there a way he could spin ahead to the future to allow him to play into this this pile of points right there? I think there is. So if he plays these 2 cards in the past, he can bump this guy up to 3, and that connects it. Doesn't connect it all the way there, but he's going to be able to pull off a little bit more than that. 3 there, and 3 there. Then he can spend his final card here to put a cube there. All right. That's kind of a fun thing that I didn't do too much in this game. Fun thing about this game that you can do something to help you in 2 different locations, or to hurt someone and help you. And you know, there's a lot of interesting causes and effects between the boards, which is fun. It just doesn't feel like time travel. Okay, so let's count up his points here. So he's got the major castle, so he's going to get 1, 2, 5, 8, 9, 10. That's pretty good. Much better than TD. And I'm keeping score up here because this is all of this is going to carry over to the next game. So it's important their exact points. And then he's in here. Now, I want to point out, Desi actually thought about just throwing 2 cubes into one spot. If he did that, that would make it more likely someone else would have a harder time scoring as well. But since, well, yeah, could have been helpful in blocking out Oblio. Oblio could possibly score in the future the same way he did, but he's just playing for himself, trying to get it's not so much about top victory with this model. It's more about just getting a lot of money personally, so that you can have some funds in the U.S. patent Khronos. All right, so then he's going to get another 7. So that puts him at 17 plus 14. That's 31, I believe. Yep. All right. Oblio didn't do anything terribly interesting. He connected up some domains in the Age of Mind to get himself more points, and then used this right here. More interesting is the Timequake created some sort of paradox here. The things don't line up right, and I think Desi wouldn't have been able to do what he did if the Timequake hadn't had the effect that it had. So things are definitely kind of not making sense here. I could go back and fix it, but I think I think that would probably cause further damage to the time tapestry that we've woven. If I were to, it'd be like, because I'm bad at fixing things. I tend to make it worse than it was. So let's count up biz points. So he's going to pull in 7 here. He probably could have worked it so that he sat up in here and got more points, possibly, but I think he just wanted to go the direct route because I think he also feels like he's dominating. Once again, he's not scoring in the Age of Faith, where he had has a rather impressive building. So he's got 7, and then here's his he has 2 domains here: 8, 9, 10, 11, 14, 15, 18. That's 25 already. 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. How did I get 25, 26, 27, 30, 31, 32. 32 points on that to add to his already 15. So he's going to end with 47. That's really good. None just went. And like Oblio, she ended up with 1 extra card. They both didn't have a use for one of their cards, which is a sad tragedy. So she moved her people both to different future points in time. One to here, where she bumped up this building so that it would echo ahead. And basically that just gave her 2 points. Because of the time quake, the building was disjointed. So the new building displaced the old building and showed up there as 2. It's too bad she didn't have another 2 pink cards. She could have bumped it up to 5 points, which would have been nice. So she did that. And then she put a cube, like a lot of people, in this domain here, which is worth 7 points and easily accessible. So she's going to score now, and she's going to get quite a bit. So let's take a look at what she got. So right here, she's going to get 5, 6, 9 in the Age of Faith, and then the Age of Reason. This has been totally her focus for most of the game. So so we have 9 plus 6, 8. That's 17, and then she's got this one here, 9, 11. That's 28 plus another 7, 35. I think that's more than what Oblio got, but I don't think so. She got 35, and she's 15. So that puts her at 50. She probably won the game if it was being played to victory, but it's not. It's being played to money, and I haven't figured out exactly. I don't think the money is going to be 1-for-1 basis. There's going to be some ratio. DJ Double J had it rough. She didn't have a lot to do. She was looking in the past and figured out that with her cards and with the layout and with how things were, the most she could get in any one age was a 1. So she transferred both of her people to the future just for the card play, really. She was able to renovate this castle here, or this religious whatever here, to the ultimate religious structure, just like when it was new back here in the Age of Faith. It was a very little one. So she renovated that, making that 5 points, and put a person there. That's basically all she did. Now, she is in the most domains in the religious area. She doesn't have the biggest domain, though, which is this one right here. This is kind of the biggest chunk, and there's no way she could get into it. So let's look at her score. 7, 13, 18, 20, 24, 27. Not bad. Not bad. A little help from TD there. She pulled in 27 plus 7. That's going to put her at 34 points. TD was the last. Wow. It's really rough. I'm noticing she's actually above Desi too. DJ Double J, despite her kind of slow showing, she ended up being, in the middle of the pack. That's not bad. So if we look here, we had None and DJ Double J. They both kind of focused on the future through most of it, right? Then we had Oblio, Desi, TD. They were kind of more in the past through most of the game. Oblio was strong the whole game, but None still pulled ahead of him. I think the future is a very potent place to be. The problem is you're at the whim of the people in the past. So maybe if these guys had played more, against the people in the future, I wonder if that would have changed things at all. I don't know. There's a lot to explore in this game, that's for sure. It just doesn't speak outside of itself, as far as I know yet. Thank you for joining me on this little voyage through this mythical, well, not mythical, fictitious world. I think it's supposed to be kind of steampunky, but you don't really see that outside of maybe this guy has a monocle and a cane, and there's some gauges. I'm not even sure why it's supposed to be like what the world is supposed to be, but it's supposed to be a steampunky world. Thanks for joining me in this steampunky world where people build buildings in the past so that they can score points in the future. Still can't remember what I was going to tell you about in my original intro, or what I did tell you about but got erased. There was a time ripple of some sort. But I look forward to continuing this with US patent number 1, Khronos mixture. I gotta mix that up. I thought I'd take this opportunity actually to talk to you about a few other changes I decided to do in the tournament. I'm kind of in the mood of just kind of mixing it up a little bit. Maybe because it's spring. I don't know. But I think so. This is kind of heavy, and I hope this doesn't ruin your evening or day or whatever time you're listening to this. But this game has kind of always weighed heavily on me. Not because I thought anything bad happened with this game, Conquest of Planet Earth, the space alien game in Khronos. That was very good. It just felt like a very short leg. It was this very short game, and then I didn't feel like there was enough chance for development. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to have a sequel game to this for the Protestant, to see who gets to be the Protestant. Here I stand. Spoiler, if you haven't watched the Conquest of Planet Earth Khronos video, this was the winner. And she's going to get some advantage, right? I don't know if it's... I usually join the games in sequence in a couple of different ways. One is like I'm doing with Khronos and US patent number 1, is it gives you some advantage in the subsequent game. Or it's like a mixture of points, right? So I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I do want to do another game. It's going to be another blending game. What I think I'm going to do, I've tried this, and I think it's got an interesting potential dynamic. I'm going to mix Innovation and Tempest. Well, they're both kind of abstract civilization games, but one is very like vibrant and like you can do a lot of stuff, and the other one's very staid and like good gun. And so to mix those together, I think is fun. They both seem like they can work together. I played a little bit with it, and I think it'll work. So I think I'm going to have that be next. It'll be fun to, I mean, not the next one I video, but next in this leg. So that's one thing I was going to change. I already talked about my Animal Farm change. Although Android was a single game, I think I'm going to leave it alone. It was long enough that I felt like there was some chance to meet the people. I might change one or both of these games here in the Baralti leg, just because my time is so precious, and I'm just not feeling like doing those games. I might still do Small World, and I might still do Warrior Knights. I don't know, but those are some changes that are happening. Not a lot to do with Khronos, except that it's change, going back in time and changing things. Isn't that cool? All right, I look forward to seeing you next time. Well, I look forward to you seeing me next time on the Real People Multi-Game Solitaire Mega Tournament.